6, 2019, 9 a.m. Freeholder meeting. Roll call is Freeholder Fantasia here, Freeholder Graham.
Here.
Freeholder Hertzberg will be absent. Freeholder Patillo. Here. Freeholder Director Yardley.
Here. You all please stand. We'll have a moment of silence. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, adequate notice as defined by Section 3D of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, has been made by regular mail, such notice being submitted on September 23, 2019, from the Administrative Center of the County of Sussex, located at 1 Spring Street, Newton, New Jersey, to the following: New Jersey Herald, New Jersey Sunday Herald, Star Ledger, WSUS Radio, WNNJ Radio. It is also posted on the bulletin board maintained in the Administrative Center for public announcements and has been submitted to the Sussex County Clerk in compliance with said act.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Director, if I may, just prior to the motion for the approval of the agenda, if I could ask a substitution for executive session to matters relating to negotiations, litigation negotiations, and the attorney to update the board on the status of negotiations with CW 1032 in place of matter number 8 that was listed as personnel, engineering, planning, and fleet management.
Okay, that's fine. Any objections to that from the board?
No.
Okay. So that will amend that when we go into executive session. Motion to approve the agenda as requested by...
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Proclamations, certifications, presentations. Great American Smokeout.
So considering the fact that over 2,500...
Excuse me, before you start, could you identify yourself?
I'm Daniel Flores, a part of YTAD from Newton High School.
Okay.
So considering that over 2,500 new teens every year start smoking daily, the proclamation for the Great American Smokeout helps to bring awareness to the fact and dangers of smoking, and hopefully helps to bring that number down in future generations.
Thank you, and I'm Ayla Bauer from the Center for Prevention and Counseling, and I work with Danny and the rest of the YTAG teens, and they're an amazing group, and they do all these proclamations all the time, and get the awareness out there. So
Yeah, that's wonderful.
they're a great group. I'm proud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, what are your programs? What do you do?
So mainly we serve as outreach to the younger schools, so for elementary and high school. So it's a high school-led group from the high schools all across Sussex County, and we work to help combat specifically vaping, because that's one of the biggest issues today in the high schools. And we work with awareness and prevention in the high schools, and then we work with education for the younger schools. So Newton being a sending district for Green and Andover, I
Thank you.
work with Green and Andover closely to also make sure that they're getting the information that we give out to Newton students.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for what you're doing. It's
Thank you for the
Great program.
proclamation.
So you just come up, I could read our formal proclamation. Whereas tobacco smoking is the leading cause of preventable death in the world, and whereas exposure to tobacco smoke is known to cause lung illness such as cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD, asthma, pneumonia, bronchitis, lower respiratory infections, and has been linked to tuberculosis deaths. And whereas the American Cancer Society's Great American Smokeout provides an opportunity for individuals, community groups, businesses, healthcare providers, and others to encourage people to use the date to make a plan to quit or a plan in advance and initiate a smoking cessation plan on the day of the event. And whereas the goals of this annual event are to challenge people to stop smoking and to help them learn the many tools they can use to help them quit and remain smoke-free. And whereas the Great American Smokeout has helped change attitudes about smoking, which has led to community programs and smoke-free laws that are now saving lives. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders does hereby proclaim that November 21st, 2019 was the Great American Smokeout Day, and together with the Center for Prevention and Counseling recognizes that addiction to nicotine and tobacco products, including electronic nicotine delivery devices, is one of the strongest addictions one can have. And be it further resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders encourages all Sussex County residents to recognize this day as an opportunity to live healthy, smoke-free lives, not just for a day, but year-round. By order of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, Herbert Yardley, Freeholder Director, Sylvia Patillo, Deputy Freeholder Director, and Freeholders Dawn Fantasia, Joshua Hertzberg, and George Graham.
Thank you.
I would just say something too. When we see high school kids come out and get involved in just the nation's whole switch on the view of smoking, very, very different from even a generation prior to me and even my generation. Tobacco companies aggressively marketed to people my age, and we were, pun intended, sucked in to that whole, culture. And it's really a shift, a paradigm shift, to see that the generations now kind of push it away. And now with the increase of the vaping devices and things like that, trying to romanticize, nicotine delivery systems again to children is not, it's not in your best interest. So when we see young people like you come and see through that, it's really powerful. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Bryce Episcopal Church, 250th anniversary. Do we have someone here?
Is there proclamation?
We made a copy for what you presented, but I wasn't sure if someone would attend this today.
Well, shall I read it or not?
Sure.
Yeah. I did attend the 250th anniversary. It was wonderful. The Christ Episcopal Church started actually in 1769. I'm not going to read the whole proclamation. I'm just going to tell you what happened because it's just an amazing story. And I guess this was at a time when there was a problem with the loyalists to the crown, so they broke away and they started their own church. And Reverend Uzal Ogden was the first rector there, and he did a famous horse ride, I guess, from the church to the courthouse, because actually to the courthouse, they didn't have the church yet, but he used to preach in the courthouse every other Sunday because they didn't have a building. So eventually he had 50 families in his church, and they actually got the property, they built the building, and for 250 years they've been a spiritual light in this community. And I have to tell you that I spent the afternoon with them on Sunday, and they were just delightful. They were so excited. They had a beautiful presentation done by the youth group. There were pastors and preachers from different areas that came, and actually I guess they call him not a pastor, but a father in the Episcopal Church, if that's correct, from England, who actually married the royal Meghan and Prince Harry. Yeah, Prince Harry. And he was on video, and he had given a beautiful speech to recognize the work that they've been doing. But for 250 years in Newton, to not just succeed, but the congregation is still flowing and growing, is such a testimony to God having a purpose and a will for that church and a love for our community. So I just want to thank all of them for what they've done and what they continue to do. Just a place of hope and a place of rescue and peace for people that want to come in and join that congregation. And the outreach that they have and the music and the presentations that they do in that church are absolutely beautiful. So if you ever want to go visit, they're open and they're willing, and they'd love to have you come. And they're just a really happy group of people. It was just a wonderful event. And I just praise God for people that really serve the community in that manner. So I'm not going to read it, it's really long, but I just wanted to tell you what it was all about.
Thank you, Sylvia. And November is National Hospice. Do we have someone here?
Good morning. I'm Marlene Shedden from the Karen Ann Quinlan Hospice. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and I'm so happy to be here today to accept this proclamation. The Karen Ann Quinlan Hospice has been in operation for 40 years. It's a big, it's a wonderful service that we are all blessed to have in our community, and it makes me very happy and proud to be part of an organization that has had 40 years in this community, and we give back to our community. Hospice services are unlike other types of services in that the family is the unit of care, and it is holistic care that we do provide. So at the end, the twilight of one's life, you know, if you could have customized individual care and bereavement care for your family members, wouldn't you want that? So I'm very immensely proud to not only be standing here today to represent hospice and our hospice, Karen Ann Quinlan, but also this is where my career started in the county in social services many, many years ago. So I appreciate being able to accept the proclamation today.
Going to do the proclamation. I'd like to just make a couple words about, say a few words about hospice. When I was a young man, come around.
I was going to say, I feel kind of
Well,
having my back to everybody.
Well, we do this, but when I was a young man, when I was in the 8th grade, my father died unexpectedly. It took a while because he had a stroke in the hospital, and we had to go travel from the house to the hospital waiting for him to die because heart attack in the 1967, 68. The technology and how to deal with it was a very traumatic thing to suddenly have it happen. Fast forward. Friend that this happens when I get a little choked up, but I'll get through this. I have a friend that is in hospice at the Karen Ann Quinlan Center over in Freeholder, and I went in to see him, and the room was decorated like an apartment, like you would see in this house. I couldn't deal with it, and I walked out. As it happened, I had my dog Baxter with me, and talking, and the word came up. And you know what they did? They called over to the vet's office where he was. They faxed over his paperwork, because you need to have that. And I carry a copy in the car now that he had his rabies shots and stuff. And I was able to go in with my dog. And thank you for allowing me to say goodbye to a good friend. So, let me read this. It's not my intent to get serious. But, okay. And I can see that our clerk got everything in. Thank God I have my glasses.
Oh.
The print. Whereas all people are encouraged to learn about options for care. Options like hospice, palliative care before they are confronted with a healthcare crisis, and to share such wishes through the appropriate advanced care planning activities. And whereas hospice, palliative care, empower people to live as fully as possible, surrounded and supported by family and loved ones, despite serious and life-limiting illnesses. And whereas hospice and palliative caring patients brings patients and family caregivers the highest quality care delivered by an interdisciplinary team of skilled professionals that include physicians, nurses, social workers, therapists, counselors, health aides, spiritual care providers, and others who make the wishes of each patient and family a priority. And whereas advanced care planning involves making decisions about health care an individual would want to receive if he or she were facing serious or life-limiting illnesses, or if they are unable to speak for themselves. And whereas, though pain management and symptom control, caregiver training and assistance, and emotional and spiritual support, allowing patients to fully to live fully up until the final moments, surrounding and supported by the faces of loved ones, friends, and committed caregivers. Hospice and palliative care focus on quality of living. And whereas each year hospice saves Medicare more than $2 billion by providing a solution for physicians, care to patients, and comfort to families anywhere at the time. And whereas every year more than 1.6 million Americans living with life-limiting illnesses and their families receive care from the nation's hospice program in communities throughout the United States. And whereas more than 430,000 trained volunteers contribute 19 million hours of service to hospice programs annually. And whereas hospice and palliative care providers encourage all people to learn more about the options of care and to share their wishes with family, loved ones, and their healthcare providers. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Sussex County Freeholders do hereby proclaim November 2019 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month and encourage citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of care at the end of life, and to observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. By order of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, Herb Yardley, Freeholder Director, Sylvia Patillo, Deputy Director, Dawn Fantasia, Josh Hertzberg, and George Graham, Freeholders. Thank you very much, and you do a great job. Thank you. This one.
Thank you very much.
Motion to adopt the proclamation. Motion.
Second.
In favor? Right. Public hearings, none. Public session from the floor.
Comments are limited to 3 minutes or less and must only address issues regarding agenda items. Please state your name and print your name and municipality on the sign-in sheet.
Open the floor for public comment.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone wishing to address the Freeholder Board, please come forward.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, I'm Jim Ayers from Frankfurt Township. It's come to my attention that the open space farm plan preservation for 2020, you're not going to be accepting applications. That's my understanding. I'm here as a member of the Open Space Committee, a liaison, working with the Township Committee to try and do a proposal to be able to keep this going even though you're not going to accept applications. And the reason I'm asking for that is in 2001, the voters in Frankfurt, or in the county, approved an open space tax of 2 cents for the county. And that's 73% of the voters approved it. And then again in 17, you got another referendum changing to pick up some maintenance and changing the open space, and that was approved by 63%. If you look around, most municipalities have that same results. Around 70% of the people approve their open space programs, as we did in Frankfurt 20 years ago. So what I'm asking is, if realizing, let me go back up. Farm preservation is difficult and open space is difficult. You never know when somebody's going to approach you to go through with it. And we in Frankfurt have done both open space and farm preservation. As Mr. Kelly knows, at Sussex Commons, we worked hard to get the wastewater management program through because the Savannah Sparrow habitat was necessary in order to get wastewater management. Our open space committee provided that. We also did a greenway. As you come into Frankfurt on 206, on the left side is an open area. We wanted a greenway with the construction of Sussex Commons on the right side. So the people in Frankfurt Township are very involved with open space. We have several farms we've preserved, different things. We've worked with Autumn over the years. We've worked with Don Taylor prior to Autumn. We have Bob Kinney's, which those people are very aware of, who's involved as our coordinator for the Open Space Committee. And so what I'd like to do is come with a proposal, if there is an application that comes to us in 2020, that we could be able to do the paperwork. We believe we have the expertise to do the paperwork with the easements are all necessary, and then provide that information to your attorney for the approvals, and then we could even possibly go with the closings. So we'd like to continue, because one never knows why somebody comes to you for farm preservation, whether it's an illness and they need the money, or it's just that they would like to, they love the property and they want to preserve it and keep it going. And it's a proposal I would just like you to take into consideration, and then if that's possible, I will go back and work with the Franklin Township Committee. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the Freeholder Board? Okay, motion to close the public comment? Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Freeholder comments, if we can, I would recommend we make your comments, keep them brief, but save them for our regular meeting, for the first meeting in December, PTO, since this is a morning meeting. Dawn?
Okay. And I won't give all the updates, I'll just touch on two. The first is the Sussex County Community College updates. First, if you've seen in the paper, the college will be launching a football team for the fall of 2020. If you recall from one of the last meetings that we had, I discussed how athletics were a powerful motivator for increasing enrollment for Salem County, which was one of the only, I believe, county colleges in the state that actually had increased enrollment, and they found it to be directly linked to athletics. So football program would create modest revenue relief to offset some of the growing costs. So we're excited about that addition to the college. Also, we have a $5,000 grant from the Gene Haas Foundation. That grant will benefit students of the Machine Tool Technology Program through scholarship awards. In early October, Sussex County College launched Sussex Partnerships in Community Education, or SPICE. That's a continuing education training series with Ames Rubber Corporation in Hamburg. And the training starts a year-long relationship designed to provide Ames with grant-funded training to upskill selected members of the workforce who could potentially assume management positions in that company. Also, for the first time in the college's history, the men's and women's soccer teams are Region 19 champions. So congratulations to the Skylanders players and Coach Frank Bernaccio and Mike Rath and their staff for winning the championship. Also, this weekend, we were all in attendance at the Fire Academy graduation, which graduated 24 individuals from Firefighter 1. It was 22 males and 2 females. Now join the ranks in our 27 volunteer fire departments across the county. So that was wonderful to see and be a part of. There's one other issue I want to discuss, and I'll keep all of my other comments till the next meeting. I want to point out that if you've been following our vote by mail situation here from the county, the Council on Local Mandates agreed with the New Jersey Association of Counties, which required the clerk to send vote by mail ballots to anyone that voted by mail in 2016. They agreed that that was an unfunded mandate. So if you recall, clerks across the state sent 437,000 new vote by mail ballots to individuals this year. There was no appropriation. Well, in 2019, there was supposed to be a $2 million appropriation. Governor Murphy directed the treasurer to withhold the money until it was clear from the state of New Jersey that that money really did exist. So we were still charged with doing that with no promise of funding for it. If you've been following what's happening in Trenton, and our D24 representatives pushing back with the way the spending is happening down there with lack of priorities, we could have held our breath and never seen a penny for that. So I'm very happy with the news that that was founded to be an unfunded mandate. I stand behind our clerk, Jeff Parrott, in his assertion of that. and hopefully we'll receive some relief from the state for this ridiculous jockeying of what they expect counties to pay for. That's all I have.
So,
I would like to thank everyone, especially WNNJ and WSUS and Carol Norbert, our police, and everyone involved in Stuff the Bus food drive that went off beautifully on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I also want to thank everyone that gave so generously. And if anyone is in need of food for themselves or their families, they can stop by the Division of Social Services located at 83 Spring Street in Newton from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. I also want to thank everybody that was involved in the opioid epidemic symposiums that we gave throughout the county. And I just want to name a few of our presentations, presenters. We had Dr. Rutito from Newton Hospital, head of the emergency room and medical center, and Valerie Mikey, Commissioner, New Jersey Division of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. We had the Prosecutor Koch, Chief Richards of Newton, Becky Carlson, Director, Center for Prevention, and Nick Louisi, Sussex County Coordinator of the Alliance Program and Drug and Alcohol Programs, and also Carol Norbert was involved in this. It was very well received, and actually being involved with all of the different trends in drugs and this opioid situation, all the things that we've been doing, I'm still amazed when I hear them speak about it, because the new grants that they're getting and the new programs that they have are reaching out in areas in ways that we never would have happened. And actually, the CLARE program is now a standard in the state, and people are beginning to follow that form of prevention because it's so successful. And I want to thank everyone. This is years and years of work that has been done to actually lay the foundation to be able to reach out and to work and fight against the opioid epidemic in our area. I also want to thank Senior Services. They have classes and presentations for our senior population, and I attended one. The presenter was Heidi Weber, and it was about the harsh realities of war, and it talked about Major General Shuren and the campaign of the Carolinas. And I have to tell you that everyone there, and Herbie were there, she was excellent. I could have listened to her all day long with her facts and all the little things that she knew about that you probably would never read in a history book. That just made it more and more interesting because she showed the personal side of what was going on. So I want to thank her for her presentations. Just a couple more. I want to thank the Center for Prevention for having the drug conference that they held, another excellent conference talking about the new trends in drugs. I want to thank the governor for coming up to Apacon and talking about the money and the funding that he has for Lake Apacon and for the ability to fight the algae bloom so we don't have another problem with that next year. I also would want to congratulate the 24 graduates of the Fire Academy. And I think that's it. Try to move quickly.
I'm going to talk, I'll take this shot before we go to George. I want to congratulate the graduates from the Fire Academy for Fire One. I was there, George, Sylvia, and Dawn, we were all there. It was both a great group. It was good to see that we have continually have graduates and volunteers that continue to volunteer for their communities. I did attend the event with the governor about HOPACon. I did get to make some recommendations, which was surprising because of the number of people there. But the issue with that, some of the issues may be soaring, maybe looking at how people do things with their lawns. But hopefully the governor will address if there's something in the Highlands that has to be worked on to clean up the water. If talking about soaring areas, if those areas are not in a soared area, there needs to be an ombudsman there to do those things. And just a place where someone can pick up the phone and say, you want us to do this, but it's going to take 3 years to get through the DEP. I hope that the project moves forward. I hope that the governor and his staff providing funding of a piece of the $10 or $15 million that for cleaning up the water throughout the state for this green algae. There's also discussion as to how our regulations are different, say, with New York State, and they're going to look at possibly changing some of the ways that we handle that. Hopefully there'll be some public information on that, public hearings on that, and clear communications to all of the parties that are involved. I wanted to also say that the Veteran Services, that Carol Norvat here is a Veteran Service Report. I'll talk more about that. And I will also talk at the next meeting about the word marijuana and how the state is changing the use of that word, whether it's going to be allowed. And I will also talk about Oprah. Went to the Oprah seminar, and there's a lot of new information on that. George, you have something?
Oh my God, you guys have covered everything that I want to talk about.
Oh, that's good. By the way, you know, we always share when it comes and when you bring something.
Terrible cough, so trust me. I pack plenty for friends. Cough drops. Yeah, cough drops, that's what they
I
are.
couldn't help it.
I want to thank the Social Services, Human Services for their work with the once again Stuff the Bus. Stuff the Bus is such an integral part of what we do. It's been taken on a life of its own. It's Stuff the Bus, Stuff the Cruiser, everything that we, all volunteers and all helpful. I want to thank WSUS and ShopRite and all the other facilities that have helped us out. We did go to the Fire Academy on Saturday night for graduation for the Fire One. The Public Safety Training Academy is in Frankfurt. It is a jewel. It's operated by the college. The college has been extremely careful in taking care of it. We have the college president, Dr. Who takes care of this. But the building is old. The building was built in sections from the 50s right up through the 90s. And one of the big problems with it, its age, is that it has end of life in a number of things. It's going to take money, and it's going to take a lot of tender loving care to make sure that it lasts for many years to come. It has a flooding issue. It is, in many ways, it is below the water table. I heed this board and future boards to not look the other way with this facility. It's a valuable, not just for the fire department, but it's also very valuable for the police department and the sheriff's department. As I'm going through today's agenda, there's a discussion here on the overdose fatality review program. I see Christine Florio's here. I assume that this is something you're going to talk about. Basically, what it is it's to establish an overdose fatality review program to collect and analyze relevant data to help address gaps in social services. This shows maturity on the part of the department, that they look and they realize that there are gaps. And how do we do it? We can do it in a knee-jerk fashion, or we can do it in a relevant fashion. I want to applaud you and your staff for everything you do in bringing that to fruit. I want to wish everybody a Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. There's a lot to be thankful for. I've been very honored and blessed to be here for almost 7 years. And when I got here, there was a lot of things that were wrong with the economy, and there were a lot of things that were wrong with some of the facilities. I think these things have gotten better. I want to be very thankful for the people that I've served with here. I have one more real meeting, but I want to say thank you very much. And this is probably not kosher, but I want to thank Bruce Scruton for still being here, because he was at the first meeting that I was at, so I hope you'll be at my last meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, approval of the consent agenda.
The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and will further the public interest. If any freeholder would like to remove an item to be considered separately, please do so now.
Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda A to G.
Second.
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Approval of the minutes. Motion to approve the minutes regarding regular minutes and executive session, November 6, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry. You were absent.
I was absent.
Good memory.
So all in the affirmative with your abstention? Okay.
Appointments, there are no appointments or resignations, resolutions. A to D.
C.
C.
Through D.
Mine says A.
Page 4.
Page 4 only has the C.
Sorry about that. Motion to adopt resolutions A to C.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Award of contracts and/or change orders.
The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex have reviewed the award of contract, change orders, bids consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and will further the public interest.
Motion to adopt resolutions A to D.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Financial resolutions, payment of the bill list, November 13, 2019. Do I have a motion to pay the bill list?
So moved.
Roll call.
I'm sorry, who was the second? Okay, thank you.
I was the
Pardon?
first.
You were the first, whatever.
Okay.
Going with the second.
Oh, okay. Just reverse that. Okay. Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Payment of the bill list, A, November 26, 2019. Graham and Patillo shall be abstained. So we will, do I have a motion on that?
Yes. So moved.
Do I have a second? Can't second. Okay. We'll take a roll call on that.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Abstain.
Freeholder Patillo? Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Resolution payment of the bill list B, November 26, 2019. A motion to approve the bill list B.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Personnel resolution authorizing the personnel agenda of November 26, 2019.
So moved.
Second. I'll second. George second. Okay. Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg? Oh, I'm sorry, he's absent. Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Administrative report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Director. We've completed our capital projects review with Capital Projects Committee, including a presentation made by the county's licensed site remediation professional concerning a number of the county's contaminated sites. Additional information that was obtained at that meeting will be provided to the entire board as part of our 2020 budget process.
If I could, you did attend that meeting? Okay. Just wanted to make that as a note that I was at that meeting.
Sure, yes, both you and the deputy director were there. And I just, as an aside, I thought it was a very informative meeting. The LSRP did provide us with some very good information, as I said, that will be shared with the board as we look to consider the 2020 capital improvement program. I held a meeting with the department administrators and employee services with a webinar through my professional organization concerning the latest public sector hiring trends. This was in direct response to some of the challenges that we found recently, particularly with the skilled and licensed staffing issues that we've had. It was very good discussion amongst the administrators, and I anticipate that the group will continue to meet to discuss the strategies to address the ongoing hiring issues that we have throughout the county. I have a meeting scheduled along with the county treasurer next week with the Local Assistance Bureau from the Division of Local Government Services in preparation for what I believe will be a public presentation to the board about the moving of the adult inmates to Morris County, which I anticipate will take place at our meeting of December 11th. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
County Council?
Nothing for this morning, thanks.
Okay. Unfinished? I don't see that we have any unfinished. Okay, so we'll go to new business. We have none. Are you in, Christina, are you on the agenda? Are you?
No, I was just here if you needed anything.
Okay. Public session from the floor.
Everyone is asked to keep their comments to 3 minutes. Please state your name and print your name and municipality on the sign-in sheet.
Motion to open the floor for public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Christine, if you'd like to make some comments, now would be the time.
Christine Floria. I just wanted to thank you for your support in the overdose fatality review team. And we've met with our county council, and we're very excited to start this program. We are going to have the kickoff in January. Other counties are doing this model, and they've seen results from it. We're really going to look at the data and see how we can improve and maybe advocate for policy changes, legislation in the future. You know, we do have a lot of support from the police, the medical examiner, Dr. Bruco at the hospital. All of the partners, our prosecutor, everyone's very excited. So I just wanted to thank you for your support and everything we do in the department. So thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the Freeholder Board?
Motion closed.
Second.
Okay. Before we do that, we have our president of the college. Anything you'd like to say to us?
I was not planning on saying anything. Would you like to hear from me? I can go on and on, as you know.
On second thought, we'll say. Motion to close.
You have a motion
Okay,
and
we
a
have
second.
motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Public session is closed. Okay, reminders, visit the county website for the remaining 2019 meeting dates and times. And speaking of that, we do have to set a date, I believe, the time for the
December 18th meeting. The proposal was to have it earlier, or we'd like to see if we could have it somewhat earlier, if any of the freeholders could be around later in the afternoon to join the employees with like an impromptu little staff luncheon here in the afternoon. So I didn't know if a 4:30 or a 5 o'clock meeting, if you were to come late in the afternoon and then follow through with your meeting, would be in order on December 18th.
Okay, and that's, at that point, we just have mostly bills, we just do some bill payment. Nothing controversial on that agenda? What's the story?
I don't necessarily know if there'll be anything controversial. We have a tremendous amount of business for the December 11th meeting.
A lot.
The December 18th, you're correct. Typically, we try to limit that to any end of the year financial transactions. But I would have to go back and see just with what our meeting schedule has been, because we were off in November and it compresses in December. I will pledge to do my best to ensure that nothing controversial would be on the agenda for the 18th.
We're really trying to front load a lot on the 11th
On the
meeting.
11th,
We really are.
Yeah.
The soonest on the 18th that I can get here, I can leave my school at 3:45, so 5 o'clock would work, but I can't get here sooner than 5 o'clock on that date.
Okay, so you're not going to be here. Okay. So let's look to see if we can make it 5 for everybody that will be
Okay.
here. And please contact the clerk and let her know so we can let the public know. Executive session. We do have an executive session.
Yes, we do. Whereas the subject matters about to be discussed may be excluded from the public portion of the meeting by resolution, the Board of Chosen Freeholders, as an exception to the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B, and whereas it appears necessary to the Board of Chosen Freeholders to discuss such matters in executive session, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex, in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-12B and NJSA 10:4-13, that the Board at this time enter into executive session from which the public shall be excluded, and be it further resolved that the general nature of the subjects to be discussed relate to the following items authorized by NJSA 10:4-12B as designated below. And I'm going to just defer to the administrator, for I cannot honestly read my scribble of what you said earlier. So it was the exception number 7, I believe.
That's correct, concerning labor negotiations with CWA 1032.
Okay. And my next question is, will we adjourn then from executive session?
Yes, we will adjourn from executive session. There will be no further action.
Be it
Any other
further,
items?
be it further resolved that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, or provided by law that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality, and be it further resolved upon the completion of the business which the board has entered into executive session, the board will adjourn and not return and reconvene in public session. So we just now need to proceed with a motion to adopt the executive session.
Okay, do you have a motion to adopt? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Executive session.